Well, blessings and greetings to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in to the Moving with Purpose broadcast. I am your host, Apostle Katrina Hillary, bringing you words of encouragement on today. Listen, I invite you to follow us on social media, on all social media platforms, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, X, or YouTube. And so we invite you to follow us at Apostle Katrina Hillary. You can also follow us at Katrina Hillary. You can text or call us at 832-777-7151. Listen, I am excited. We expanded some more on this week, the weekend. And so I want to share that with you. We are currently on at least two radio stations. And so God has allowed us to even expand even more. We decided to do a podcast network for my ministry, but I chose that type of platform to also be a blessing to other ministries and to help other ministries set up their podcast to be able to get the gospel out, to be able to get words of encouragement out to people. And so as God blesses me, I want to be able to be a blessing to others. So, first of all, thank you for all of your prayers and support and for tuning in every week. That allows us to continue to grow. God enlarges our territory, and I pray that He also enlarges yours. And so you can listen to the podcast. It's not only what we have on Sunday morning. There will be some other things that will be on the podcast, and then we have the virtual revival that I will also add on the podcast platform, the network. And I'll get into the revival here shortly. But I want to invite you to if you miss the broadcast on Sunday mornings, you will still be able to tune in. You can go to my website at katrinahillary.com. And so now with that podcast network, that platform allows us to be on Spotify, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcasts, Podcast Index, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, and the list just goes on and on and on. And so, as God expands, as again, I said, I also want to be a blessing to other ministries. I have a heart and a passion for small, mid-sized ministries. That does not mean that I can't help a large ministry, but I know where God has really placed on my heart to help people grow in ministry, not only on the media and the marketing side of it, but also just in church development, growth. I've written policies and procedures for different ministries. So as God gives it to me, as God blesses me and gives me knowledge and expands my territory, I want to be a blessing to somebody else. With that said, I want to remind you of a couple of things that we have coming up. We are just around the corner from the month of October. As a matter of fact, today is the 29th, Monday is the 30th, and Tuesday is the 1st. And so, in the month of October, we are having our virtual revival every Thursday night in the month of October, beginning at 8 p.m. And my goal is to have that on all of the media platforms that we are on. That's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then we will turn around and add that also to the new podcast network platform that we have for the ministry. So I invite you to tune in every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time in the month of October. Different speakers every night. I am excited about who's going to be sharing those words of encouragement on each Thursday night. I am truly excited, and I pray that it's a blessing to you. Each of you that tune in, and then if you're not able to tune in that Thursday night, hey, go back and listen to it. And as you listen to it, share it with somebody else tell somebody else about it. And so I appreciate that. I'm thanking you in advance for tuning in and for sharing and inviting other people to tune in. So thank you in advance. Then, as we proceed into the month of November, we are having our Women in Ministry and Business Brunch. Listen, this is open to all women, but you have to register. We have limited seats. So, if you don't register, it's going to be hard for you to get in and have a seat. And so I want you to go ahead and register for that. People are already registered. We will be out of seats soon. This event is free. When's the last time somebody gave you a free meal? You won't just come and get a free meal, though you'll get some words of encouragement from other women in ministry and business. And so, again, I want to invite you to that. You need to go and register on eventbrite.com, or you can also key in Apostle Katrina Hillary at eventbrite.com. And then also, it's on my website at KatrinaHillary.com. It's also listed on my social media platforms. So you must register in order to attend. That way, I will make sure we have enough food for you. And then the presenters, if they are giving out material, they will know exactly how much material to bring. I don't want you to show up and you don't have a seat, or we pass out material and you're not able to get material because we didn't have you registered for the event. So, hey, stop what you're doing right now and go and register. Tell Lottie, tell Dottie, tell everybody they need to go and register for the Women in Ministry and Business Brunch. This is for everybody, whether you're a professional in ministry or business, seasonal, you're just starting out, or you're interested in it. It is free for women. We are coming together, empowering one. Iron sharpens iron. And so I look forward to seeing each and every one of you on November the 16th. And that will take place at the Southwest Center. And so go and sign up for that as soon as possible. All right, it's homework time. This particular lesson now, I won't even, well, I guess I could say it's a lesson, but it has been a hard one for me. Last week I talked about Habakkuk and the oracle, or the burden, the vision that God gave him, and how that vision or oracle, whichever word, depending on which translation you're reading, it is a burden on the person that God gave it to until God says it's time to release it. And I'm here to tell you that this one here has really been a heavy one for me. I tried to get out of it. Yes, I'm telling you the truth. I tried to get out of this one. It just wasn't clicking for me. And those of you who teach, who preach, evangelize, sometimes God will give you something and it's just not clicking for you until the last minute. Everything just starts coming together. And then sometimes it's not clicking for you because God can't give it to you too early, because you'll start filling in all these other type of things. And so today I want to go in a different direction, just to talk to you, just truly encourage you, because I understand the time and the season that we are in, that we are living in, and so many things are happening in the world. And so it makes it difficult. People handle things totally different. What's easy for you and what doesn't bother you can break somebody else. And so sometimes we forget about that, especially in ministry. We'll tell people to pray about it, or I'm praying for you, and that's good. You should pray over, you should pray for them, but sometimes I look at that and it seems like it's an easy way out. When people are dealing with things, we will say, well, just pray about it. You got to have faith. And we go on this long list, and we are definitely good at telling people that when the issue or the problem is somebody else's. But when that the tables turn. Sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. And when somebody tells you, well, just pray about it, and in the back of your mind, some of you you will let it come out of your mouth. I know that part, but I need more than that. And so in this season, I want us to be mindful of what's going on. So I want to look at, if I have time, in the physical, the spiritual, and the mental part of this. And so this last week and this week, what God gave me was in the book of Nahum, Nahum, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And so, if you know anything about this, of course, he's considered a minor prophet. There's only 3 chapters in this book, and it is a hard 3 chapters. It's a tough one, and a lot of times you don't hear people speaking from it, but uh, God showed me something in the midst of this particular book that applies to now. I didn't see it a couple of days ago, even last week, even up until probably yesterday. I knew what God, I could see it in the text. I understood what was taking place in the text, but here in the last couple of days, God really began to reveal to me what it was that I needed to say to the people on today. Now, first of all, this word is not for everybody, but it is for some bodies. Um, and so it is a encouraging word. I hope you take it as an encouraging word, and a word that causes you to reflect upon things that are happening in the world and things that are happening to you. In the book of Nahum, in the first chapter, I want to read 5 verses, I believe it is, in chapter 1. And I'm going to read it in the Message Bible this time because I like the translation of this one. Beginning at chapter 1, verse 11, and it's entitled A Think Tank for Lies. Verse 11 says, Nineveh's an anthill of evil plots against God, a think tank for lies that seduce and betray. And God has something to say about this. Even though you're on top of the world with all the applause and all the votes, you'll be mowed down flat. I've afflicted you, Judah, true, but I won't afflict you again. From now on, I'm going to take the yoke from your neck and splitting it up for kindling. I'm cutting you free from the ropes of your bondage. uh, Beginning at verse 14, it's entitled God's Orders on Nineveh. And it says, You're the end of the line. It's all over with Nineveh. I'm gutting your temple. Your gods and your goddesses go in the trash. I'm digging your grave. It's an unmarked grave. You're nothing. No, you're less than nothing. Look, striding across the mountains, a messenger bringing the latest good news, peace, holiday. Judah, celebrate, worship, and recommit to God. No more worries about this enemy. This one is history. Close the books. And so what God showed me in this, after studying this, last week Sunday, as a matter of fact, we shifted. We shifted into the season of fall. As a matter of fact, on Sunday, which was 9/22/24, at 8:44, we shifted into fall. And so, what God had me, He brought back to my remembrance when I was a chaplain. I moved to Little Rock to go through the clinical pastoral educational training at UAMS. And then, once I completed almost 2 years at UAMS, I went to be a chaplain through the clinical program at the hospital in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And I'm telling you this part because somebody is going to hear what I'm about to say and say, She's no psychologist. She's no doctor. But you must understand, and if you know anything about clinical pastoral education, which is your program to be a board certified chaplain, you understand that that process, that tedious and rough process that you go to, prepares you for something. And so I've had my share of medical situations to where I've had to deal with many, many deaths. I've had to sign death certificates for many, many, too many to count on my hand how many death certificates I've had to sign as a chaplain. There are too many times that I can't uh, count on my hands how many times I was a chaplain for suicide cases, for murders and drug overdoses, and all of these things I experienced in those 2 years. As a matter of fact, now being I was a trauma chaplain. I was responsible in the ER, in the cancer ward, in hospice, all of those difficult situations in the hospital. Somehow, I always ended up the chaplain over those areas. Did I ask for it? Certainly not. But somehow, at each hospital, that's where I was placed. And so, a lot of times, I question God because of what I've seen in my lifetime. There were times where I had 8 deaths in one day. And if you've had to deal with a family that has had death and be there in a role of a minister, a pastor, or a comforter, you know it takes a toll on you. So you can imagine what it's like to get 8 calls in one day within 4 hours. It takes a toll on the person who has to be there to provide pastoral care. And so, even now, years later, if I hear a helicopter, a life net flying, my body responds a particular way because I know if you're in the helicopter, it's a trauma. That's from being a trauma chaplain. And so, what God showed me in this situation, in this text, which is interesting, how He showed it to me. So, let me go back to the fact that we've switched and shifted into fall. It's interesting to me that this fall, and usually it does occur the equinox, it happens in the month of September, in the ninth month. For us that are so spiritual, we are in, when we're in the eighth month, we say, oh Lord, it's new birth, it's new beginnings. And then when we roll in and we shift into the ninth month, we begin to say, I'm going to birth what God placed in me. And we look at that from the spiritual standpoint. But there are some things that are happening in the natural, in the physical, in the mental. And God confirmed this to me on this week because of the situations that I've had to be a part of. Even today, a conversation with my daughter about a friend of hers was confirmation in what God has for me to say on today. Again, it's not for everybody, but it is for somebody's. Um, and so, what happens in this season? Yes, the leaves begin to turn colors. The leaves begin to fall. The trees seem to see. It seems as if things are dying out in the fall season. Do you not realize that there is also an effect on our bodies when the seasons are changing? I tell people all the time, I love to study God's timing, His seasons, because the Bible tells us all of this in the ninth month, in the month of Nisan, and it gives all of these details, and there is a reason for that, because when you tie that into the text, it gives clarity for what's going on. For example, like David and Bathsheba, when she's on the roof taking a bath and they're out at war. The season he should have been out in the field on the battleground with his men, but he was out of position. So he sees something and he gets himself in trouble. But that's not where I want to go with that. I'm just explaining timing and seasons. And so now we're in the month of fall, and it has a pull on you physically. And if you are not careful, you will get sucked into something, even though out of your mouth spiritually, you're saying, I'm about to birth something. I'm about to give birth to what God has given me. But there is something in the atmosphere that pulls us down. And you may be saying, well, Trina, what are you talking about? I don't, can you give us clarity? Well, yes, I will. Thank you for allowing me to give you clarity. I'll use myself as an example of how things can pull and shift you to another mindset, shift you to another level when things are happening and seasons are changing. There are at least three traumatic experiences that I've gone through in my life. And if I'm not careful, uh, first of all, let me just say this. We're talking years ago. I'm not talking about trauma that just happened. I'm talking about some were childhood traumas. Some trauma happened when I got older. And so some things have been there and they tend to crep up at a particular time, at a particular season. And if you study suicide, even though September is not the highest month for suicides, you will see that there is an increase in mental health issues. I've seen it this week. As a matter of fact, I shared with a couple of people that they were wondering what is going on. I said, it's as if the people are in survival mode, and there's no need to be in survival mode because of what has taken place. But can I tell you that Satan will take your past? You think you're over something, and he will bring it up in your present, and you will find yourself in a deep situation. You can find yourself in deep depression. You can find yourself lack of better terms, find yourself in like what is considered just a funk. How did I get to this place? What's wrong with me? You'll find yourself not wanting to get up in the morning. You'll find yourself not having enough get up and go. You have to be careful. The text says in here, the prophet is talking to talking to Judah about what God is going to do. First, he deals with Nineveh, the Assyrians. You know the story. You know Jonah was sent to Nineveh and to the Assyrians, and he really didn't want to go. He did all of these things to avoid going, and he got caught up, he got swallowed up, and eventually he had to do what God told him to do. It's the same group of people. These people are still, even now, oppressing the people 150 years later. Well, why do you tell us that? Because Satan will take something old and have you in a state of oppression. The text tells us that the people of Judah is now oppressed. It's as if a yoke has been placed upon them. And I want somebody to understand today that you have been going through some things. It has been some tough times for you. It seems like you thought you were over it. And just like I said, I've had some experience where I thought I was fine. And it seems as if subconsciously it begins to spring back up at the exact time that it happened, even though it's been years ago. I've got some things that I have to look like I have to deal with every December. But here's the thing, I don't even realize it until I found myself in almost a depressive state. Yes, I'm saved. Yes, I'm sanctified. Yes, I'm filled with the Holy Ghost. But I'm here to tell you that if you are not careful, Satan will allow something from your past, something to trigger you and take you back to a different state of mind. We cannot afford to go back in this season. But here's what I like about it in the text. Even though the prophet is telling Judah, these things are going to come. God says that what you've dealt with in the past, he's about to mow it down. He's about to cut it down. He's about to remove the yoke from you. Not only is he going to remove it, baby, he's about to break that thing up. The text tells us that he tells the enemy that he's going to kill it. He's going to destroy it. He's going to bury it, and it's going to be in an unmarked grave. Here's the problem. And I'm not going to say it's a problem for you, so I'm going to talk about Trina. Here's the problem. There are some things that I thought I buried, but the handle of the hatchet was still standing up. But God is stepping in right now and saying, enough is enough. You've suffered enough. You've gone through enough. You've dealt with this enough. I'm removing the yoke. Not only is he going to remove it, he's going to break it up. Not only is he going to mow it down, he's going to kill it. He's going to destroy it. And he's going to put it in an unmarked grave. And then it says good news at the end of the text. It says, no more worries about this enemy. This one is history. Close the books. That very thing that you've been dealing with year after year, I know nobody understands. I know people have been telling you that you should be over this now. I know people should say are saying you should be past this. Girl, you still dealing with that. Boy, you still dealing with that. You've heard it so much until now you don't even speak anymore. And so what you did is you said, I guess it's me. I guess I've got to carry this burden on my own. And now that yoke has become so heavy that you found yourself revisiting the thing season after season. Isn't it ironic that that yoke tries to place that, or that heavy burden comes on you around the anniversary time of something that occurred? A smell will trigger you and take you back. A song can trigger you and take you back. A scent, a sound, you saw something that can take you back. But God says he is destroying it. He is killing it, burying it, and putting it in an unmarked grave. Can I tell you this before I go? The grave is unmarked. That means that those of you, those of us who have been dealing with generational yokes, God is breaking it. God is destroying it. He's turning it into killing it. Those generational things that we've been dealing with, he's killing it. He's mowing it down. He's cutting it off. He's burying it, and he's putting it in an unmarked grave. The next time that Satan tries to bring your past to you, says God has already destroyed that. God has already removed the yoke. God has already mowed it down. God has already buried it, and he put it in an unmarked grave. He told me that it's history now. The book is the very thing that you've been going through. You don't have to go through it no more. I understand that this season is the fall equinox. And yes, if you're not careful, it will bring you down. But what it is designed to do, because if you understand the equinox, it is an equal time of day and night. There is a balance. And so what we do during this time is we reflect and we bring ourselves back into balance. We bring ourselves back in communion with God. We bring ourselves under God's submission. We bring ourselves under God's will. We cannot get trapped in the enemy's trick and mindset of trying to deceive us and take us back. God says the book is closed. It's in an unmarked grave. He doesn't need you to go to the cemetery and try to find it. God is your yoke breaker. You be blessed.